The air in the conference room is stale, smelling like carpet. Cleaner and anxiety. My lawyer, Aman, whose tailored suit cost more than my car, shuffles his papers. His voice is a low, monotone. This, he says, sliding a document across the polished wood table, is a copy of the forged power of attorney. My sister Olivia stares at it. Her face has gone pale. I was just managing it for her, she whispers. My father, David, his face, mask of indignation, scoffs. This is absurd. You call lawyers over a family matter. Before you watch the rest of this, make sure to subscribe and comment below letting us know where you're watching from. Also, I really want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this story. My life had been defined by 2 words for as long as I could. Remember. Reliable and sensible. I'm Emily Chen, 32 years old, a quality control technician at Cascade Craft Brewery. My world is one of precise measurements, careful monitoring, keeping the delicate balance of pH, temperature, and yeast strains that turn grain and hops into something people actually want to drink. I find comfort in the data, in the sterile quiet of my lab, surrounded by gleaming stainless steel and the gentle hum of refrigeration units. It's a world where variables are controlled, where outcomes are predictable, where effort equals result. It's a stark contrast to my family, especially my sister, Olivia. Her life is a whirlwind of dreams, concepts, and artistic vision. Or at least that's what she calls it. My role in her dream? I was the sponsor, the funding source, the walking ATM with a steady paycheck and no right to say no. I remember the day I got my scholarship letter, full ride to State University, chemistry major. I was 17, sitting at the kitchen table, holding that letter in my hands like it was made of gold. I'd worked so hard. Straight A's, science fairs, volunteer work at the hospital lab. I'd earned this. I was ecstatic. My father clapped me on the back. His eyes were already calculating. I could see the numbers running behind them like a spreadsheet. That's my girl, he'd said. His. Voice hearty. Smart, practical, now we can reallocate that. College fund we set aside for you. Put it toward Olivia's tuition. At art school, she needs it more than you do now. My achievement wasn't a victory. It was just a budget. Reallocation. A line item moved from one column to another. I remember the feeling that settled in my stomach that day. A dull, heavy ache. The realization that I wasn't seen as a person who'd accomplished something. I was seen as a resource that had just freed up capital. That feeling never left. It became part of my baseline, a constant low hum of being undervalued. It was there, every Sunday at family dinner, a weekly ritual I'd come to dread. The routine was always the same. My mother, Sandra, would cook something elaborate and barely edible. My father would sit at the head of the table like a king presiding over his court. Olivia would arrive late, breezing in with shopping bags and breathless stories about her latest projects, and I would sit quietly, pushing food around my plate, waiting for the inevitable. Olivia would pull out her phone. She'd swipe through images, showing off her newest concepts, sketches of dresses that would never be made, mood boards for collections that existed only in her Instagram posts. Look at this, she'd say, thrusting her screen toward my mother. It's my new direction, sustainable. Luxury, I'm calling it eco-opulence. My mother would coo and gasp. It's brilliant, darling, just brilliant. You're going to be the next big thing. I can feel it. Then her eyes would find me. Always me. Emily, speaking of brilliance, did you transfer Olivia's business investment for this month? The question always came publicly, in front of everyone. A. Reminder of my place in the family ecosystem. I was the engine. They were the passengers. Of course, I'd murmur, my fork suddenly feeling heavy in my hand. Good girl, my father would say, pointing his knife at me for emphasis. You're the sensible one, Emily. You have a stable job. a steady income. It's your duty to support your sister's talent. That's what family does. We invest in each other. My Aunt Beth, my father's younger sister, and the only person in the family who seemed to understand what I actually did for a living, would shift uncomfortably in her chair. She'd look at my father, her mouth opening as if to say something. "David," she'd say carefully, "Emily works hard for her money. She has her own life, her own goals. She's not a bank." My father would turn on her immediately. His face would harden. "You're just like her, Beth, always the contrarian, always questioning family loyalty. This is why you're still single at 50. The insult would land. Beth would go quiet, and I would just sit there, the reliable, sensible daughter, feeling my contribution curdle in my stomach like spoiled milk. It went on for years, monthly transfers, $500 at first, then $1,000, then $1,500. Olivia's business, investments. Except there was no business. There were photo shoots, designer samples, tours to Fashion Week in cities I'd never been invited to visit with her. I paid for all of it. I paid, and I stayed quiet because that was my role, the sensible one, the one who didn't make waves. But I had my own dream, a small one, private. I was saving for a house, a modest place with a backyard where I could grow hops and experiment with home brewing, a space that was mine. I've been saving for 5 years. Slowly, carefully, every spare dollar that didn't go to rent or groceries or Olivia. I was close, so close. I had almost 40,000 in my savings account, enough for a down payment. I'd started looking at listings. I'd talked to a mortgage broker. I could see it, my future, tangible, real. And then the phone call came. A Tuesday morning. I was in the lab, my hands stained with hops resin, calibrating the pH meter for a new batch. The phone buzzed. "Olivia." I almost didn't answer. I was busy, but family calls were never optional. I picked up. She said, her. Voice bright and urgent. "I need you to wire me $30,000. My breath caught. I set down the pH probe carefully, precisely. "30,000? Repeated. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Distant. For what? The Paris exhibition. She said it like I should have known. Like, it was obvious. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Emily. A curator saw my work on Instagram. She wants to feature my work collection at a gallery in Le Marais. But I need to cover the fun. Shipping, the installation, the promotional materials, it's an investment, not a cost. When my brand takes off after this, get it all back. With interest. You have to trust me on this." My head felt light. I looked around my lab, at the gleaming stainless steel fermentation tanks, at the neat rows of beakers and test tubes, at the quiet, predictable world I'd built. $30,000, 3/4 of my savings, my down payment. My future. No, I said. The word felt strange on my tongue. Foreign. I'd never said it before. Not to Olivia. Not about money. I can't. That's my savings. I need that for my own future. There was a long silence on the other end, then a laugh, sharp and cold. "What future?" she spat. "In that smelly beer factory? Are you serious right now?" Her voice rose. "Don't be ridiculous. Emily, you're being selfish. This is my career we're talking about, my dream. Are you really going to sabotage me because you're jealous? Is that what this is?" I could hear voices in the background. My parents. The phone must have been on speaker. "This is unbelievable," Olivia continued, her voice turning shrill. "You know what you are? You're an ungrateful walking ATM. That's all you've ever been good for." The words hit me, not with heat, with cold, a chilling, crystalline clarity. Ungrateful walking ATM. I heard my father's voice boom from somewhere behind her. "Emily, I can hear you on speaker. How Dare you speak to your sister like that? You refuse to help her? His voice was full of righteous anger. You don't have dreams, so you can't understand their value. You never did. All you know is your little lab and your little job. Olivia is building something real. Then my mother. Her voice was softer, manipulative. The tone she used when she wanted something. Please, Emily, don't do this. Don't make Olivia upset. Don't tear this family apart over money. You've always been so good about helping. Don't change now. Just this once, please. I held the phone to my ear. My hand was perfectly steady. The hum of the refrigeration unit was the only sound in my lab. The only sound in my entire world. They were right about one thing. I wasn't a daughter. I wasn't a sister. I was a function, an ATM. And this ATM was about to close its account. I'm done, I said. My voice was as sterile as the lab around me. Clinical. Final. I hung up. I didn't wait for a response. I didn't listen to whatever else they had to say. I opened my phone's contact list. My fingers moved with the same precision I used for titration tests. Block. Contact. Olivia Chen. Are you sure? Yes. Block contact. David. Chen. Are you sure? Yes. Block contact. Sandra Chen. Are you sure? Yes. My hands were shaking now, but not from anger. It was adrenaline, or maybe relief, the feeling of a weight lifting. I stood in my lab, surrounded by the tools of my trade, and I realized I'd just done something I should have done years ago. I called the only person I could trust, the only person who'd ever seen me as more than a resource. Aunt Beth, I said. My voice cracked just once. I'm done. I just cut them off. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I could hear her breathing, thinking. Good, she finally said. Her voice was firm, proud even. It's about time, Emily. Your father has always been this way, projecting his own failed dreams onto everyone else, using people. I'm glad you finally stood up for yourself. We met for coffee that afternoon. A small cafe near the brewery. Told her everything. The monthly investments that were never investments. The years of being treated like a bank account with legs. The $30,000 demand. The ATM comment. She listened, her hands wrapped around her mug, her eyes growing darker with each detail. He's always enabled her, Beth said, quietly. Ever since your grandparents died, since the estate was settled, Olivia always got what she wanted. You got the leftovers. I nodded. That was accurate. Speaking of the estate, I said, slowly something clicking in my mind. What happened to my inheritance? Olivia told me my share of the stocks crashed. That it was basically worthless by the time it was supposed to be. Distributed to me. Aunt Beth looked at me over the rim of her coffee cup. Her expression was unreadable. Worthless? She repeated. Emily, your grandfather was a meticulous investor. He was careful, conservative. He wouldn't have put your inheritance in anything volatile. He specifically set up stable, dividend-paying stocks for both you and Olivia, equal shares. A new kind of coldness seeped into my veins, slower than the earlier anger, deeper. What are you saying? I asked. Beth set down her mug. I'm saying I don't believe the stocks crashed. Your grandfather's portfolio was solid. You saw it myself when the will was read. You were supposed to get $75,000 in stocks. Olivia got the same, $75,000. I'd been told it was gone, lost. My father had told me the market had tanked, that my share had vaporated, that I should just be grateful I had a job and move on. But if Beth was right, if the stocks hadn't crashed, then where was my inheritance? Aunt Beth, I said slowly, my scientist brain already forming, Hypotheses already running through possibilities. Do you know a good lawyer? Not a family lawyer. Someone ruthless. A shark. She smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been waiting for this question for a long time. As a matter of fact, she said, I do. The lawyer's name was Marcus Chen, no relation. He was exactly what I needed. Mid-40s, impeccable suit, cold eyes that assessed everything like he was calculating its value. His office was downtown. Glass and steel. Expensive art on the walls. He listened to my story without interruption. His face remained impassive. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. We can subpoena the brokerage records, he said. His voice was flat, businesslike. If there was mismanagement or theft, we have a case. I'll need you to sign a retainer agreement. My rate is $400 an hour. This will not be cheap. I don't care, I said. I want to know what happened to my money. He nodded. I'll get started immediately. 2 weeks later, he called me. I was at work testing a new IPA for bitterness levels. My phone rang. Marcus Chen. I stepped outside into the alley. Behind the brewery. Talk to me. I said, it's worse than we thought, Emily. His voice was grim, almost angry. The stocks didn't crash. They were sold. Every last share. Liquidated over the course of 18 months. My lungs felt like they were collapsing. Sold? By who? By Olivia. The world tilted. I leaned against the brick wall of the brewery. She used the power of attorney, a document authorizing her to manage your inheritance on your behalf. It was notarized, looked legitimate. She solved everything and transferred the funds to her personal account. $75,000. All of it. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I never signed a power of attorney, I said. My voice was barely a whisper. I know, Marcus, he said. We had the signature analyzed by a forensic document examiner. It's a forgery. A good one, but a forgery nonetheless. Your sister committed securities fraud. She also committed wire fraud and identity theft. This isn't a civil matter anymore. Emily, this is a felony. $75,000. Stolen. Added to the 100 and $50,000 I'd already given her over the years in monthly payments. I'd funded her entire lifestyle, her trips, her photo shoots, her designer wardrobe. And when that wasn't enough, she'd forged my signature and stolen my inheritance. This wasn't a family dispute anymore. This was a crime. The calls started almost immediately after I blocked them. Didn't have my number anymore, but they had other ways. Olivia showed up at my work 3 days after the $30,000 conversation. She barged past the security desk, her face a storm of self-righteous rage. I was on the brewing floor, checking fermentation temperatures, when I heard her voice. Emily, she screamed. Her voice echoed off the metal tanks. How dare you? How dare you ignore me? My boss, Kevin, looked up from his clipboard. His eyes went wide. Other staff members stopped what they were doing. Olivia stormed toward me, her heels clicking on the glass concrete floor. You're ruining my life. You're ruining my Paris exhibition. This is sabotage. You've always been jealous of me. I turned to face her. My heart wasn't pounding. I wasn't afraid. I felt nothing, just a vast, empty calm. You need to leave, she said. My voice was steady. This is my workplace. I'm not leaving until you transfer the money, she was shouting. Now, crying. Her mascara was running. I need that money. You're just being selfish. I looked at Kevin, then at the security guard who'd followed Olivia onto the floor. Security, I said calmly, not taking my eyes off my sister. Please remove this person from the premises. She's trespassing. You can't do this to me, Olivia shrieked as the guard took her. arm. We're family. You owe me. As she was escorted out, still. Screaming, I turned back to my fermentation tanks. My hands were steady. I made a note on my clipboard. Temperature stable. pH optimal. Everything under control. The voicemails from my father started that night. I didn't listen to them in real time. I saved them, archived them, listened later when I was calm in my apartment with a notebook open. Lawsuit? His voice boomed through my phone's speaker. You're suing your own family? Over money? You are a disgrace, Emily. An embarrassment. You are no longer my daughter. You're disowned. Do. You hear me? Disowned. Another message. You always were cold. Unfeeling. Your mother is devastated. Devastated. You've destroyed this family over your petty jealousy. Another. Fine. Don't answer. But you'll regret this. Mark my words. You'll come crawling back and we won't be here. I saved. Every message. Labeled them. Threat from David Chen, message 1. Threat from David Chen, message 2. My mother's emails were different, softer, more insidious. Emily, sweetheart, please. Olivia is just fragile. She has so much talent, but she's not good with details. Can't you just forgive her? If you just endure this a little longer, we can be a family again. Don't you want that? Don't you want us to be whole? I read every email, every text. I didn't respond. I just saved them, exported them, forwarded them to Marcus. He was delighted. This is excellent, he said when we met again. They're building our case for us. Keep them coming. While I was meticulously documenting their harassment, Marcus was working. He'd subpoenaed Olivia's bank records, her credit card statements. He'd hired a forensic accountant, and he'd done something I hadn't thought of. He'd gone through her social media. Every post, every photo, every tagged location. Look at this. He said, spreading printouts across his desk. Instagram posts. Olivia in Dubai. The Burjal. Arab hotel. Designer shopping bags. A yacht party. The Paris. Exhibition. I said slowly. She told me she needed the money for Paris. Marcus nodded. There is no Paris exhibition. There never was. She made it up. Look at the dates. He pointed to a timeline he'd created. March 15th, she demands $30,000 from you for Paris. March 20th, she's in Dubai, posting photos from the Four Seasons. April 2nd, she's in Milan, shopping at Gucci. These trips cost money, a lot of money. He pulled out another document, bank statements, and here's where that money came from. Your inheritance, the stocks, were sold in 3 batches. First batch, November of last year, $25,000. 1 week later, she's in Bali. Second batch, January, another $25,000. 2 weeks later, she's in the Maldives. Final batch, March, $25,000, Dubai. I stared at the evidence. The perfect correlation. My money, my inheritance, funding her influencer lifestyle. We have her, Marcus said. His voice was satisfied, almost happy. Forged signature. Wire fraud. Bank transfers. Social media evidence showing exactly where the money went. This is airtight. We could take this to the DA right now and she'd be arrested within 24 hours. What would happen to her? I asked. Marcus leaned back. Grand. Larceny. Securities fraud. Identity theft. We're looking at felonies. Plural. 5 to 10 years in prison, realistically, probably 5 with good behavior, but that's a prosecutor's decision, not ours. 5 years. I thought about my sister in prison, orange jumpsuit, concrete cell. I waited for guilt. 4. Hesitation, for some familial instinct to protect her. Nothing came, just cold calculation. What are my options? I asked. We can go criminal or civil, Marcus said. Criminal means the DA prosecutes. You don't see a dime, but she goes to prison. Civil. Means we sue for damages. We'd win. Easily. She'd be ordered to. Repay everything. Plus interest. Plus punitive damages. But civil. Judgments are hard to collect if the defendant has no assets. She has no assets, I said. Everything she has, she bought with my money. Marcus smiled. Exactly, which is why I recommend A. Third option, leverage. He pulled out a fresh legal pad, started writing. We offer a deal. We don't file criminal charges if and. Only if the family repays the full amount immediately. They don't have that kind of money, I said. I know, Marcus replied, which is why we put a lien on their house. They own it outright. Your father bought it 20 years ago. It's worth at least $400,000 in this market. We force a sale. They repay you from the proceeds. Or we go to the DA and your sister goes to prison. Their choice. It was elegant, brutal, perfect. Let's do it, I said. The legal letter was delivered by courier. Formal demand 4. Repayment of $75,000 in stolen inheritance. Plus $150,000 in documented transfers under false pretenses. $225,000 total. Payment due within 30 days or criminal charges would be filed. Attached was a lien agreement for their house. They had 2 options, pay or prosecute. The meeting was set for 2 weeks. Later. Neutral location, a conference room in Marcus's building. My father, my mother, and Olivia were required to attend. They brought their own lawyer. A nervous man named Gerald Hoffman looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. That's where we are now, in this room that smells like cleaning. Products and fear. My family on one side of the table. Me and Marcus on the other. My father tries to bluster. This is absurd, he says again. This is a family matter, Emily. You don't bring lawyers into family matters. This is betrayal. Marcus doesn't even look at him. He slides the forged power of attorney across the table. This, he says, his voice flat and professional, is a federal crime. Securities fraud, wire fraud, forgery. We have a handwriting expert prepared to testify that. This signature is not Emily's. We have the forensic analysis. We have everything. Olivia is staring at the document like it might bite her. I was just managing it for her, she whispers. She didn't know how to handle investments. I was helping. Marcus slides another stack of papers across, printouts of Instagram posts. And this, he says, is where the $75,000 went. Not to investments, not to business expenses, to Dubai, to Milan, to Bali, the Four Seasons, Gucci, luxury resorts. We have the dates. We have the receipts. We have the bank transfers. Every dollar is accounted for. My mother starts to cry, soft, hiccuping sobs. Oh, Olivia, she whispers. How could you? My father's face has gone from red to pale. His bluster is deflating. Their lawyer, Gerald, is reading. Through the evidence, his face is grim. Mr. Tin, he says, quietly to my father, this is serious. This is not something we can dismiss. Marcus leans back in his chair. He's enjoying this. However, he says, my client is not unreasonable. She doesn't actually want to see her sister incarcerated. My father looks up. There's a flicker of hope in his eyes. Desperate hope. She is willing to drop the criminal charges on one condition. Marcus slides 2 documents to the center of the table. Option A, we submit this entire file to the district attorney's office. Today, Olivia is arrested and prosecuted for multiple felonies. She will almost certainly be convicted. The evidence is overwhelming. She will go to prison. He lets that hang in the air. The only sound is my mother's crying. Option B, You, David and Sandra Chen, as the parents who enabled and defended this criminal behavior, will repay that $75,000 immediately in full. My father explodes. We don't have that kind of money. That's insane. Marcus doesn't blink. We know, which is why we've prepared this. He taps the second document. This is a lien agreement against your house at 847 Maple Street. Current. Estimated value $420,000. You will sign this agreement giving us a secured interest in your property. You will then list the house for sale. When it sells, Emily will be repaid in full from the proceeds, plus interest, plus legal fees. If you refuse to sign, we will immediately file criminal charges. You can use the phone in the lobby to call. Olivia, a criminal defense attorney. He looks at his watch. You have 10 minutes to decide. Prison for your daughter or loss of your house. Choose. The room is silent. My father is staring at the papers like they're written in a foreign language. My mother has stopped crying. She's just staring at Olivia. Olivia is staring at the table, her fake persona, her influencer life crumbling around her. Their lawyer leans in, whispers something to my father. My father shakes his head. Lawyer whispers again, more urgently. My father looks at me. For the first time in this entire meeting, he really looks at me. His eyes are full of hate, pure, undiluted hate. You're doing this? He says. His voice is hoarse. You're taking our house? I'm recovering my stolen inheritance. I say, my voice is calm. The house is just the collateral. You're not my daughter, he hisses. The words are meant to hurt, to cut. I meet his gaze. My heart is perfectly still. You're right, I say. I'm not. I haven't been for a long time. I was just a function, an ATM, and now I'm closing the account. He looks like I've slapped him. Marcus taps his watch. 8 minutes. My father picks up the pen. His hand is shaking. He looks at the lien agreement. At the signature line, if we sign this, he says, you'll drop the criminal charges? The moment the house sells and Emily is repaid in full, Marcus confirms. Not before. My father signs. The pen scratches across the paper. My mother signs, her hand trembling so badly she can barely write. Olivia doesn't sign. She's not the homeowner, just sits there, her face blank, her world ended. Marcus collects the documents. The house will be listed within the week. I'll be monitoring the sale personally. You have 90 days to close. If you fail to comply, the criminal case will proceed. He stands. We're done here. I stand as well. I don't look at my family. I don't say goodbye. Just walk out of the conference room, out of the building into the bright afternoon sun. I feel light, untethered, free. The house sold in 6 weeks. The market was good. They got $430,000 for it. After the mortgage payoff, which was small, and the realtor fees, there was enough to pay me back in full. $75,000 in stolen inheritance. $30,000 in legal fees. Marcus took his cut. The rest went into my savings account. My parents moved into a small rental apartment across town. 2 bedrooms, thin walls, no yard. My father's pride, the house he'd owned for 20 years, gone. My mother's social circle, the neighborhood book club and garden society evaporated. Olivia got a job, a real job, at a local coffee shop, I heard about it through Aunt Beth, who still occasionally ran into my mother at the grocery store. Olivia was a barista now, making lattes for $7.50 an hour plus tips. I saw her once by accident a few months later. I was walking downtown heading to a meeting with a supplier. I passed a coffee shop. Through the window, I saw her. She was behind the counter wearing a green apron, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wiping down the espresso machine, her face dull and tired. No camera. No. Ring light. No performance, just work. I stopped. I stood there for a moment, watching her. waiting for something. Guilt? Pity? Regret. Nothing came. I felt nothing. I kept walking. I took the $75,000, added it to what remained of my savings, and I did something I'd been planning for months. Started my own business, a specialized quality control consulting firm for craft breweries. My expertise, my rules, my name on the door. I leased a small industrial space on the east side. Bought equipment. Hired 2 lab techs, and I asked Aunt Beth if she wanted to come on board as my business manager. She said yes. Immediately, we incorporated as Chan & Associates Quality Labs. The first client came within a month, then another, then 5 more. Word spread in the craft brewing community. Emily Chen knows her stuff. She's thorough, she's reliable, she's the best. 6 months after the conference room meeting, Beth and I stood in our lab. It smelled like clean steel, fresh grain, and possibility. The equipment hummed quietly. Everything calibrated. Everything in its place. Beth handed me a coffee. To the founder, she said, raising her own cup. To us, I replied. I looked around the lab, at the gleaming surfaces, at the neat rows of testing equipment, at the logo on the wall, Chen & Associates. My name, my work, my success. No one could take this from me. No one could claim credit. No one could call it a reallocation of resources. This was mine. I am no longer a sponsor for someone else's dream. I am no longer the walking ATM. I am no longer the reliable, sensible daughter who stays quiet and pays the bills. I am the architect of my own future. And it turns out when you stop funding other people's fantasies, you have plenty of resources to build something real. So let me ask you something. If you were in my position, where would you have drawn the line? Is there a point where family stops being an excuse for bad behavior? Would you have pressed criminal charges, or would you have taken the money and walked away? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you would have done. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever been treated like a resource instead of a person, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for listening.